Oh, well, hello, all my wonderful, beautiful broskies, wonderful, beautiful broadcast. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and, unlike what was normally going to be scheduled, I decided that as much as I got into Naruto, I decided I was going to get into Suna Naruto. In that I really like the idea of this. So, let us begin. Now, basically, we're going to start with basically the same thing, like the same way, Naruto started. With Naruto not exactly understanding everything that went on with the whole Iruka and Mizuki deal. And even dropping the whole scroll of sealing off. Basically, Naruto, in his panic, well, would only know one place to go. Which is the one place he paid the most attention to in the geography classes that would be taken in the academy. And he would know that west of Konoha is that of the Land of Wind. And so, Naruto going what he believed was west. He doesn't even know why he was going in the direction of Land of Wind, if he was even going in that direction. He doesn't know and he doesn't care. He's just scared and afraid and alone. And he was just given the worst news that he thought he could possibly be given. Being his vulnerable self and all. Which basically eventually he comes to two gates and, two guards that care so little about their job that they actually fell asleep. And so, seeing as the gates are slightly open, Naruto manages to slide through the cracks and actually get in. Which he did see a sign that looked like it said something about "Welcome to the Sand Village." And Naruto tried to strain his head. Something about a sand village. Naruto was very confused. And he just wants this to all be a bad dream. And he just wants this to end. He wants this to all be a figment of his imagination. He wanted it to be Hokage. Is that too much to ask? And, well, eventually, he would come across a set of swing sets with someone on them, and they would be holding a teddy bear. And it would look like they had bags on their eyes. They would have red hair, and they would be crying. And Naruto would ask who they were, and then a big thing of sand would just shoot at Naruto, and Naruto wouldn't really do much. And it would almost be like sand was confused itself on why Naruto wasn't really reacting to its assault at him. Naruto's only real reaction being that he has a really tight grip with his ninjutsu. Gaara thinking that Gaara really more or less thinking that this guy was weird. Because most people get scared whenever this happens. You know, most people don't even want to be friends with him. They're scared of him. They hate him. And that's whenever Gaara actually looks up and he looks into this person's eyes and he sees the same thing that's in his eyes. And Naruto does the same thing to Gaara. He sees the same thing in his eyes. They see the same thing in their eyes. And that's whenever the fourth Kage would show up behind Naruto and basically be like, "What is this?" And basically Gaara would get all scared and his sand would act frantically. And Naruto would actually get apprehensive, thinking that he was going to attack Gaara. And Gaara actually, getting a hint of this, thinking, why would he want to help him? He's a monster. And, well, yeah, it's safe to say things will get weird. It's basically Rasa would take the two to talk some things out. Rasa really not giving a shit what happens, just wanting some time for himself to be alone, to actually think of something like, what the hell is going on? Like, who the hell is this kid, and what the hell is going on? And this time, actually, is basically just what Naruto needs in order to, kind of help Gaara with his situation. Because Gaara, basically being, convinced that he should only love himself, should only fight for himself, and that his existence is the only one that matters, and that he needs to prove his existence by destroying others' existence. And basically Naruto basically drills it into Gaara's head that basically, well, more or less, he doesn't really know what to drill into Gaara's head. But he feels something. He feels a connection. And that's whenever something pulls at Naruto's neck. He feels something pull at his neck. And then he gets like shrouded in darkness. And whenever he wakes up, he sees the figure of a woman. And this woman talks to Naruto. She says her name is Kushina Uzumaki. And that she is a master of Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu. And she's also his mother. And that the reason why she is like this is because of the Shinigami. And basically, well, the reason why the Nine Tails is, well, the whole thing is also because of the Shinigami. but it's more or less one half of the Nine Tails, not the whole thing. That he isn't the Nine Tails, that he's only the container of the Nine Tails. And so the people should actually be praising him, not, hating him. But apparently, that is, neither here nor there, nor anywhere. In anyone in the village's book, apparently. And, well, basically, over several different lessons from Kushina inside of Naruto's mindscape, basically, Naruto basically learns what he needs to learn in order to, get through to Gaara. He basically tells Gaara that instead of only fighting for himself and only fighting to, prove to existence by destroying others' existence, he does have friends, and that his friends can make him stronger and will make him stronger. And that having friends doesn't make him weak, it actually improves his strength. Like, neither of them may be, spitting images of that, but, considering, his parents, which, neither here nor there, but considering them, which, one of them is Kushina Uzumaki, one of his parents. And whenever Gaara hears that one of his parents is Kushina Uzumaki, whenever Gaara hears that, Gaara is basically, mostly convinced, because, someone like Kushina Uzumaki, just damn, son. Damn. And Gaara basically just but then who would my friends be? And Naruto would be well, you could have me as a friend for starters. And then there are your, siblings. You guys are called the Sand Siblings, right? Well then, have those two as your friends, right? What were their names again? And Gaara's just Tamari and Kankura. And Gaara's just Tamari and Kankura. I need to tell them sorry. And I also need to visit Uncle Yashimaru. Because Gaara kind of, gears turning in his head, kind of figures out for himself, that maybe not everything that Yashimaru said was all true. The gears turning in Gaara's head. And so he's maybe I need to visit Uncle Yashimaru's grave. And Naruto's and Naruto's just maybe I should be with him whenever he goes there. And, well, basically Gaara, before he does anything else, will just be who are your people that are your friends that you fight for? If you said all of that, then who are yours that you fight for? And Naruto would just look down to the ground, and he would just ball his fist up in anger. And he would just realize how little actual people that actually gave a shit about him in the actual Land of Fire he actually had. How little people, and just how many people that actually hated him, like, instead. Like, compared to, like, how many people actually liked him to how many people hated him. Like, make a comparison. Yeah. Naruto would kind of have to contain himself. Like, make sure he didn't boil over. But Gaara could see it. Like, even though Gaara's little, he could still see it. I mean, Shukaku being, like, the Biju and all, helped him see it. Plus, him himself, he could see it. That Naruto was starting to boil over with anger and frustration. And just rage. And overall, just disgust for the people of the Land of Fire in general. He realized he just had barely any people that actually gave a shit about him there. And, well, considering really, Gaara would just be like, Naruto, can you wait for a little bit? And Naruto would be like, okay. And Gaara would just go over to Temari and Kankuro, and he would just, like, say something to them, and they would be like, wait, what? Nani? Like, Nani the fuck? Like, what? But, even though they were surprised, I mean, they would still, like, it would still like everything. And basically, after everything was said and done, basically, Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro would all go into the Kazekage's office with Naruto still waiting, not really knowing what he's waiting for, but they would all go in with, like, Gaara's like you guys gotta go in with me. Like, this is really important. And, like, Rasa would be like, what is it, my son? And, would actually realize that Gaara really didn't seem to care all that much about how much of a dick he was to him. And he's like, oh, that's a surprise. He doesn't really seem to care. And, he'd just be like, Gaara would just be like, Naruto, we would like something to change. We notice something, and Gaara would just hold something up that he kind of, like, snatched from Naruto while he wasn't looking. It's kind of like his little registration card thing. It has his name and ID and everything. And basically, it would have Naruto Uzumaki as the name. And basically, there would be a little piece of paper that Gaara would have. And there would be a little pen. And basically, Gaara would write down a little something as, like, the thing to put down, like, newly, like, register Naruto as. Like, for his name. And whenever Gaara would show Rasa what it was, Rasa would be like, what? Like, Gaara's never done this before. This is either the end of the world, or I am smoking some serious blow. And he's just like, okay, let me get this straight. You want me to change this kid's name from Naruto Uzumaki to Sabuko no Naruto? Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gents. Sabuko no Naruto. Like Naruto of the desert, Naruto of the sand, whatever. Basically. Because at least, if he's like that, Gaara's there, Tamari's there, Kankura's there. At least they're there, for, Naruto. Like, they're around Naruto at least. At least they pay attention. At least they're at least decent enough. And even though Ross is a, total dick and asshole at of the finest order of assholes, even though that is that, even, even that, Gaara still thinks, everything's gonna be okay. That is, if Ross actually takes what he's doing seriously. And, well, basically, Ross is just like, well, looks like my son's got some balls. And, well, Ross is just like, where is this Naruto? And basically, Naruto hears his name, and Naruto comes through the door, and basically, Rasa just sees Naruto and is like, oh, that's Naruto. My son's the One Tail. And if my sensory capabilities are right, it would make you the Nine Tail. And, Gaara would just be like, his sand would raise up into the form of his mother behind him. And, right next to the sand form of his mother would be the sand form of Kushina. And the sand form of Kushina would have a sand sword up to Ross's neck. And the sand form of Gaara's mother would basically be pushing Ross's head and neck towards the sand blade. And basically, Ross would be like, what the shit? When did this happen? And, Ross would be like, okay. Jesus. Oh, stop. Good God. Basically all the sand would die down. And Rasa would be like, so you're Naruto. Well, and basically, Rasa would use some sand clones and basically, speed paperwork. And basically be like, now you're... And you would just show Naruto his registration file and be like, Naruto would just state it. Like, he would look right at Gaara, and Gaara would smile, and, Naruto would state it, and be like, Sabuko no Naruto! And Gaara would be like, Sabuko no Naruto! And, like, Kankuro and Tamari would, like, they would have never seen Gaara so happy in his entire life. Not even, with Yashimaru. Like Uncle Yashimaru. Not even with him. Like, this is like crazy. And, eventually Naruto would state, like, well, if Tamari and Kankuro are your brother and sister, then what does that make me? Well, technically, since I wasn't even from, the Sand Village, I guess you could technically say I'm like a sort of a stepbrother. And Gaara would be like, stepbrother? Yes, stepbrother Sabaku no Naruto. And Gaara would be like, smiling and be like, stepbrother Sabaku no Naruto. I like that. And, like, Rasa would be pet peeved. He'd be like, he would just be like, this is ridiculous. And then he would feel that sand blade next to his neck again. And from the look on Gaara's face that Rasa could see, it would be like he didn't even know he was doing it. It's almost like it's like doing it on its own. And, Rasa would turn his head a little and see that it was a sand version of Kushina. And eventually, basically, Rasa would be like, well, Naruto, don't you ever want to return back to, Konoha? I mean, don't you ever think of going back there? And Naruto would just stop him from completing that sentence and be like, hell no! You guys are a lot better than, back there. Even you, Mr. Rasa. Even you are better than a lot of people back there. And Rasa actually getting complimented by Naruto, Rasa would actually be like, wow, even the way I've been to him and he still compliments me, just damn. How are they to him back there? Like, how exactly were they to him? Like, just damn. And, Gaara just, like, the look, like, Gaara just, has, you can tell if he ever finds a Leaf Shinobi, he's probably going to want to kill them. Because of the way, Naruto just explained out everything, like, not ever wanting to go back. Because of the way he was treated. And, Naruto's, Gaara's stepbrother, Sabuko no Naruto. And, Gaara doesn't want, his stepbrother Sabuko no Naruto to get hurt. So, the idea of anyone ever doing that to him, yeah, he's probably going to want to kill them. And if you think otherwise, you'd be thinking wrong. Definitely wrong. And basically, everything that Naruto would ever learn, basically, like the basics of what Naruto would learn, as like his curriculum that he would have in like the Sand Village, actually wanting to devote like some time to actually like learning shit, that he would actually do, Naruto actually would do so. How much? Well, technically, just in case, like, Rasa would have one day where basically he would state that if Naruto, like, there would be this spar that Rasa would talk about, and he would say that if Naruto were to fail this spar, that he would have to return back to Konohagakure. And, well, Naruto, basically, come the day of the spar, basically his first opponent basically would break his heart because, well, seeing as he made himself relative to Gaara, being his stepbrother, Sabaku no Naruto, his first opponent being Kankuro. And, well, Naruto basically knows Kankuro as a puppet master. And basically he knows that his most basic puppet is Crow. And basically that close range doesn't be the smartest, the smartest idea, but long range isn't exactly smart either. So mid range, while also constantly moving, probably the smartest thing to do. But not try to get too repetitive, or else, might be, found out. And so, basically, what would happen is basically, Kankuro would just, boom, set Crow down. And basically, Naruto would get in his stance and be like, ow, I actually did pop my neck. And be like, mm. Mm. Game on, Kankuro. Like, game on, Kankuro. And Kankuro would just be like, oh, really? Let's go. Basically, they would just, enter some taijutsu. And basically, Naruto would get himself purposely trapped within, the entangle thing with Crow. Like what happened with Misumi in the tuning exams. However, what would happen is whenever, Kankuro would go to crush Naruto, he would crush a big heap of sand. And you would just hear, sand clone. And basically, the Kankuro who had made himself visible would then just, hear something from the back. Take this! And then he would just get kicked up in the air. And basically, he would basically just hear, after he get kicked up in the air, he would hear, Sand style, incoming sand spears. And it'd be like, choo, choo, choo. A bunch of sand spears coming up from the air. And basically, you know, Naruto would basically just grab the puppet strings the Conqueror would have tried to use to, like, shield himself. And, they would already been shredded from first place. And, he would just get pinned by the sand spears. And, basically it would be like Conqueror loses. Like, basically like, Conqueror loses. Like, he just got pinned. So, yeah, he loses. Yeah, Naruto just showing that he was, pretty damn good. Because not only did he, like, make a sand clone without Kankuro even noticing, and Tamari actually, not actually, without actually even telling anyone, actually, she herself didn't even notice him create that sand clone. But also the Sand Spears Jutsu that basically pinned Kankuro. Basically, checkmate. And, basically, the next match in this big gauntlet being Naruto versus Tamari. And, well, Tamari just basically throwing around her fan like wind jutsu up gas. If you ask me. Basically, Naruto would be like, and, basically be like, pull out a scroll and be like just scribble on it, like, and be like, huh? Wind style summoning! Great Hurricane Bomb! And Tamari would hear that and be like, oh shit. Like, boom! And then, like, whenever the dust settled, you would just see an unconscious Tamari and, like, a panting Naruto, like, holding his chest. And, Baki would also be there to kind of, mediate the matches. And Rasa would be there, and Rasa would just be like, what the fuck? And, like, we wouldn't even know what to do. And you would be like, Gaara's next. And Naruto would be like, I forfeit. And Gaara would be like, what do you mean? And Naruto would be like, I don't want to fight you, brother. And Gaara would be like, but. And Naruto would just go to walk away. And then all of a sudden, Gaara would and just create a sand Kushina and a sand Minato somehow. And just, they would wrap in a hug, like, just wrap him in a hug. And Gaara would be like, I don't want you to go. And Naruto would just feel all this love. And Naruto would be like, for the first time ever, he would have felt so loved. And, like, Rasa just, like, realizing that, really, I mean, if they actually were to fight, he's actually afraid of what would have happened. Like, the fact that his son is the freaking One Tail, and Naruto is the freaking Nine Tail. I mean, just, oh boy. That wouldn't have been good. Anyways, basically, yeah. So you guys know the traditional, like, Sand Siblings team, Gara, Tamari, and Kankura. But what about Naruto? What kind of team would he have? Oh boy. Well, these are technically fan-made characters, since I'm a Naruto fan. And I don't really have any, like, further ideas. And, well, technically, and I'm just gonna say that one of the Ombu was charged with monitoring this team, considering that Naruto's the Nine Tails. Naruto's two teammates would be Shihei and Konoichi by the name of Bam. Yes. And oh my god.